When the palace gates swung wide open, no one could have imagined that diplomatic visit was a trap. 18 royalty Jaguar, Uaxaclajuun Ub'aah K'awiil, Copán's mightiest king, was extending a hand of peace to Quiriguá, the vassal city that had faithfully paid tribute for years. But at that moment, no one knew the powerful king was embarking on his final journey. On that sweltering morning in 738 AD, the city of Copán stood at the zenith of Maya civilization. Pyramids challenged the sky, hieroglyphic stairways told the tales of gods. And seated on the throne was Jaguar, the most powerful ruler in the region. Under his reign, Copán was more than just a city. It was the heart of the Maya world, the center of art and science. Astronomers read the stars, scribes carved history into stone. Every year, neighboring cities paid tribute. Quiriguá was one of them. But Jaguar didn't know something crucial. Tiliw Chan Yopaat, the king of Quiriguá, who had quietly paid taxes for years, was making different plans in the darkness. Every gold plate he sent, every act of submission, was actually part of a revenge web woven with patience. But the truly shocking thing was how far in advance this rebellion had been planned. Tiliw had paid tribute to Copán for years. Every harvest season, loaded caravans came from Quiriguá, and cacao, jade stones, and woven fabrics flowed into Jaguar's treasury. From the outside, it was a perfect vassal relationship. However, inside Tiliw's palace, the situation was different. Every night, the young king would think about the wealth sent to Copán and bury his rage inside. "My father bowed his head, but I will not," he would whisper in the darkness. Over the years, he prepared a masterful plan. First, he forged secret alliances with neighboring cities. Then he sent spies to the Copán palace. Ambassadors bringing diplomatic gifts were actually observers. He learned every detail: Jaguar's routines, security vulnerabilities, which advisors he trusted. And one day, the opportunity arrived. A minor border dispute arose between Copán and Quiriguá. Tiliw knew the time had come to make a grand diplomatic gesture. An emissary was sent from Quiriguá to Copán. The message was clear: "We invite the great King Jaguar to Quiriguá. Let us resolve the disagreement peacefully. Your vassal wishes to show you respect and loyalty." When Jaguar read the letter, he smiled. He was pleased with Tiliw's loyalty. His advisors encouraged him too. A small diplomatic visit would consolidate Copán's power. But there was something he didn't know yet. This is exactly where an unprecedented event in Maya history was about to begin. On that ill-fated day in 738, Jaguar departed from Copán with a magnificent ceremony. Feathered headdress, jade necklaces, golden bracelets, he set out with all the glory of a king. He had a small guard unit with him, but there was nothing to worry about. After all, Quiriguá was his vassal. Along the way, people bowed to him with respect. Every village he passed gathered to salute the great king. Jaguar was at the peak of his power. Copán's magnificence was felt with every step. As they approached the Quiriguá border, a welcoming ceremony awaited them. Tiliw had come personally, bowed respectfully, and said, "Great king, our city is honored by you." There was a humble smile on his face. Jaguar didn't suspect anything. Why would he? Tiliw had been a loyal vassal for years. The ceremony proceeded, drinks were consumed, gifts were presented. Everything seemed normal. But when darkness fell that night, everything changed. Jaguar went to the guest room prepared for him to rest. His guards were waiting outside. Just as he was about to fall asleep, the door opened silently. Tiliw's warriors poured in. The movement was so swift that Jaguar couldn't react in time. His hands were tied behind his back. His mouth was covered. The Copán guards outside were quickly neutralized. Many were killed, the rest fled. At that moment, Jaguar understood the truth. The shock in his eyes revealed the moment of betrayal. The vassal he had trusted for years had taken him prisoner. Nothing like this had been seen in Maya history. Kings could be captured in battle, but diplomatic immunity was a sacred rule. Tiliw had violated this rule. He hadn't seen the biggest surprise yet. Tiliw's real plan was just beginning to unfold. Jaguar was locked in a dark cell. His golden crown had been taken, his magnificent garments stripped away. Bound in chains, the once powerful king was now a helpless prisoner. As days passed, the seriousness of the situation became clear. Tiliw wasn't just a rebel. He was staging a revolution. People gathered in the Quiriguá plaza, and Tiliw addressed them. For centuries we were under Copán's yoke. But now we are free, and the mighty Copán king is our prisoner. The crowd roared frantically. Tiliw! 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 Tilew's plan had worked. He hadn't just captured Jaguar. He had also given his people a new identity. Now Quiriguá was no one's vassal. In his cell, Jaguar was thinking. How had he been so blind? How had he failed to see that hatred in Tilew's eyes? Had his advisors warned him, or were they part of the conspiracy too? Every night, he would think about his palace in Copán, his children, his wives, that peace in the palace gardens. Now it was all so far away. And he knew that even if the Copán army came, it was too late. Tiliw would use him as a prisoner before killing him, a political bargaining chip, a display of power. But Jaguar didn't know yet that Tiliw had a much more symbolic plan. Keeping a king prisoner wasn't enough. He needed to humiliate him publicly, then sacrifice him. Only then would Quiriguá's independence be sanctioned by the gods. Wait a minute. Don't miss this detail. The date for the sacrifice ceremony had been set. Panic reigned in Copán. When the fleeing guards brought the news, the palace was shocked. How could a king be taken prisoner? Diplomatic immunity was a sacred rule. The gods wouldn't allow this, would they? But the gods were silent, and Tiliw grew stronger with each passing day. Neighboring cities heard of Quiriguá's courage. Some secretly sent congratulatory messages. Copán's power began to be questioned. In Jaguar's cell, days turned into months. There was psychological torture, as well as physical pain. Tiliw would occasionally visit and mock him. "Great king, what will your Copán do now? Can they come rescue you? Or are they choosing a new king?" Jaguar would remain silent. His honor was broken, but his spirit had not yet surrendered. Maya kings were representatives of the gods. He wasn't afraid of death, but to die this way, to be sacrificed as a prisoner, to go down in history like this, that was much worse. And finally that day came. Tiliw came to the cell. There was a triumphant smile on his face. "The gods have spoken," he said. "You must be sacrificed. For Quiriguá's independence, for my people's freedom, the gods demand your blood." Jaguar took a deep breath. He knew this moment would come. There was no escape now. All that remained was to die with honor. "Let it be noted in history," he said quietly. "Copán will not forget. The gods will ensure justice." Tiliw laughed. "It will be noted in history. But they won't write about your betrayal. They'll write about my victory. What you're seeing now is nothing. Preparations for the sacrifice ceremony were complete." The Quiriguá Plaza was filled with people. From every corner of the city, people had come to witness this historic moment. The sacrifice platform had been prepared. According to Maya tradition, a high stone altar with symbols of the gods. Jaguar was brought in chains. The once glorious king, now exhausted, weary, and captive, but he still tried to hold his head high. Maya kings never bowed. Tiliw stood by the platform. In his hand, the ritual blade gleamed, obsidian, sharp, prepared for the gods. He turned to the crowd and spoke. "Today justice is served in the name of the gods. For centuries, Copán oppressed us, pressured us, disrespected us. But now we are free. And the price of this freedom is the blood of the tyrant king. The crowd screamed. Tiliw, Tiliw, Tiliw. Jaguar was laid on the sacrificial stone on the platform. 4 warriors held his arms and legs. He looked up at the sky. The sun was shining. Birds were flying. It was a normal day, but for him, it was his last. One final thought crossed his mind. Copán, my children, my gods, forgive me. Tiliw raised the blade. For a moment, time stopped. Then a swift movement, and Jaguar's head was severed from his body. The crowd screamed frantically. Tiliw lifted the head, showed it to the crowd. Blood drops fell to the ground. Quiriguá's independence had been sealed with a king's blood. Maya history's most shocking betrayal had been completed. You won't believe it, but the real tragedy was just beginning. The fall of Copán. When the news reached Copán, the city mourned. Temples fell silent. Lamentations rose in the streets. Jaguar's body hadn't even been returned. Tiliw had buried him in Quiriguá as a victory monument. But the pain wasn't just emotional. The political consequences were far more devastating. Copán's power was being questioned. Their king had been captured, sacrificed. Had the gods abandoned Copán? Neighboring cities saw the opportunity. One after another refused to pay tribute. Some openly rebelled. Copán's tribute network collapsed. Revenue decreased. The treasury emptied. Chaos reigned in the palace. A new king was chosen, but he lacked Jaguar's authority. Whispers began among the people. Perhaps the gods are punishing us. Perhaps our king made a mistake. As years passed, Copán gradually weakened. Major construction projects stopped. Hieroglyphic inscriptions decreased. The population migrated. The city that had once been the heart of the Maya world was now a shadow of itself. Quiriguá, meanwhile, rose. Tiliw erected victory monuments, giant stelae with inscriptions telling how he defeated Jaguar. He wrote his name in golden letters in Maya history. But the victory was also short-lived. After Tiliw's death, Quiriguá also weakened. Both cities were eventually abandoned. Forests swallowed the temples. Centuries later, archaeologists found these stelae. They deciphered the hieroglyphic writings, and they learned the most shocking story in Maya history: the betrayal of a king, the collapse of a civilization. Jaguar's story isn't just the tragedy of a king. It's also a universal tale of power, betrayal, and revenge. What do you do when the person you trust betrays you at your most vulnerable moment? How can you fail to notice when someone who appears loyal for years is actually making revenge plans? And most importantly, no matter how solid power seems, how can it collapse in an instant? Maya civilization learned the answers to these questions in a painful way. Jaguar's death wasn't just the end of one person. It was the end of an era, a power, a belief system. Today, the ruins of Copán and Quiriguá stand in the forests. Tourists wander these ancient temples, read the inscriptions on the stelae, take photographs. But the story those stelae tell has not been forgotten. A king's betrayal, a civilization's collapse, and how fragile trust can be. Tiliw got what he wanted: freedom, power, victory. But what was the cost? Both cities eventually collapsed. Maya civilization fragmented. Perhaps the real lesson is this: revenge may be sweet, but its consequences burn everyone. Jaguar died, but Copán died too. Tiliw won, but Quiriguá was also lost. History repeats itself. Even today, power games, betrayals, revenge plans continue. Perhaps what the Maya stelae tell us is this: power is temporary, betrayal is permanent, and history always writes the truth. Everyone had learned the truth, but the real shock: Copán never regained its former power. In 738 AD, in the Quiriguá Plaza, a king died. But that day, a civilization died too.